Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back and checking out the Ultimate Tribute Band podcast. My name is Roger. I'm really super excited for our guest this week. It's not only a great tribute artist, but it's kind of a friend. It's another local friend from my hometown here in the Temecula area, Riverside County, Southern California. What's up? 951 area code. This is Chrissy Marquez from the band Pulp Vixen.
Hell yeah.
You'll find him at pulpvixenband.com, and we're going to talk about that band, but also her tribute bands. They have a tribute to Van Halen, which is called Femme Halen.
Yes.
Check them out. And then they also do a Go-Gos tribute called Totally Go-Gos. They even have like a 90s, I think, tribute thing, too, they're doing. Kind of a cover tribute, multi-artist kind of thing. So I want to touch on all that stuff. Chrissy, welcome to the show.
Roger, thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you.
Hey, everyone who knows me knows I love to talk. So you inviting me here tonight is just amazing. And you're serving up Leoness Red. So I'm a happy camper tonight.
Look at that. Our first, hopefully, potential sponsor. Leoness. Feel free to reach out, you know.
Leoness.
Yeah. Wineries. If it wasn't for wineries, we wouldn't have 75% of our gigs.
That's right. I am so thankful for the Temecula Valley.
It's kind of a cool music scene, actually.
Are you kidding? There are so many talented musicians in the Temecula Valley. That's where we cut our teeth, was in the Temecula Valley. Our very first gig at a public venue was at the Temecula Beer and Wine Garden.
A fine establishment in the Temecula Valley.
You
Old
bet.
Town. Shout out to the Wine and Beer Garden.
So happy. So I respect the Valley for all of the work that it's given us, as well as all of the fantastic musicians that we have met and played with. And
There's a ton.
Know.
There's definitely a ton. Well, let's jump into just how you came here, where you started, what's your story, where you're from. Give us a little backstory on.
God, I feel like I should sing it. Just kidding. So
montage.
You know, I've been playing music since I was 6. I was classically trained on the piano. However, when you're classically trained on the piano, it's a very individual sport. I competed and had to adjudicate to new levels. There was a lot of pressure, and it did a lot of wonderful things for my life. Personally, I hated it, by the way, and my mother for making me take lessons, by the way. So sorry, Mom, because you were right.
It's paying off.
Oh my gosh, right? And so it got me scholarship into college. I went to USC.
So are you Southern California born and raised?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
rare. From where? Where were you born?
Orange County.
Okay.
Yeah. So fast forward, I've already started a family. I'm in a career in the real estate development industry. So fast forward to like my middle age crisis, let's call it. You can call it a quarter age crisis. Maybe it wasn't truly middle age, although I am middle aged now. But when I started this band, I'm like, I want to start an all female band. I don't know how to play the drums, but I'm going to play the drums in my band.
Really?
Because I don't want to play the piano because that's for nerds. Isn't that terrible?
I was going to say because hauling a keyboard around is a pain in the ass, but you chose to be a drummer.
I had no clue.
That's why I became a harmonica player.
Hey, no clue. That's just how clueless I was.
Wow.
But I didn't care. Like, that's one thing I don't usually have is fear. I'm not fearful of trying things. I'm a bit on the adventurous side.
So you didn't start your first real band experience until you were you were an adult. You weren't a teenager rocking in the garage.
I had 2 children, married with 2 children.
That's kind of unusual. That's pretty. That is a midlife crisis. You decided to be a rocker.
I told you.
Nice.
I told you.
That's the right kind of midlife crisis. Dudes get Corvettes and wear members-only jackets and bad cologne.
So that's what happened. That's how it started. And I knew no musicians. I didn't know anything about
And where are you living
band.
at this time?
In Corona.
Okay.
So I'm just telling everyone, I'm a talker, I'm a big mouth. So everyone I know in my industry, out of my industry, at the dentist, at the hairdresser, it didn't matter. I'm starting an all-girl band and I need musicians. Guess what? It's so funny. I was talking to my hairstylist at the time and I let her know that I was looking for musicians. So she told someone, And that someone hit up Roseanne and said, hey, there's this chick that's trying to, has this all-girl band, and, she needs guitarists if you're interested. So this little angel calls me and says, hi, I'm Roseanne, and I play the guitar, and I hear like you're looking for someone.
Sounds just like her. I just really met Rosie for the first time tonight. That's more than I've heard actually Rosie speak tonight.
How hard must it have been for you to make that call?
We're going to get Rosie on camera at some point before this show is over. And she's a shredding guitar player.
She's a literal genius. No, so this is the other side of things. So that's actually looking for musicians, because I didn't know where to start, because I'd never done this before. And in the meantime, my first job out of high school was working at Disneyland, because I lived right by Disneyland. I was a dancer, and so I joined their entertainment department.
You were a cast member.
Yes, I was a cast member, and I met my friend Grace Richardson at the time. So this is years ago. Like, this is when I was 17, okay, working in parades and shows.
Okay.
So, it's 20 years later or so. And we had, the thing about Disney cast members is that it's like a cult. We do not let go of each other.
It's not like a cult.
It is a cult in a good way. I'm still obsessed.
It's some of the nicest people. I went to college in Fullerton. I lived in Anaheim for a while. I knew so many people. Right by me. We probably ran into each other at some point.
You literally grew up right by me.
I probably saw you in a parade.
Oh, my God.
The electrical, Main Street electrical parade.
Yep. Anyways, so go to a reunion, because that's what we do. We reunite and say hey and drink and walk the park together and reminisce. And I told the gals that I was with, I want to start an all-girl band. Who's in? And, I'm talking to a group of entertainers.
Right. Sure.
Right? And Grace, among other people, shot her hand up. She's like, oh, hell yes. I've been singing, and I have a band with my husband, and I've done this. I've worked there and worked there. And I'm like, that's it. Let's do this, girl. And there were a couple of other ladies that said yes also. They didn't end up sticking with it, but she was serious, as was I.
Okay.
And so that was the core of the band. Of course, we had no musicians, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So when I say Rosie was the linchpin to everything, it really was, because all of a sudden we had her contacts, because she has been a musician since she was, 15? Teaching, gigging. Like, she has lived that life. And I knew nothing, so I literally relied on her. And through her is how I found every other member of the band at that time.
Did you know how to play drums yet?
I was like a year in.
Okay.
I had taken lessons for a year.
Okay.
Total beginner.
So you didn't obviously scare Rosie off. Rosie didn't go, oh no, this isn't gonna happen.
Actually,
or did
talk
Rosie
about good drama stories.
Okay.
She tried to quit so many times.
So it was a Brokeback Mountain. She just couldn't quit her.
Literally, you have no idea how close you are. And guess what? Like, if you ask her, every time she tried to quit, I'm like, you know what? No, it's cool. I know you're busy and you're playing with these other bands. I'll just book my gigs around whatever you have going. It's fine. Like, I literally would not let her quit, which is just so funny, because she tried really hard.
So we have Chrissy, Grace, and Rosie.
And then Rosie.
So you have drums, sing, and Grace was going to be your lead singer, I assume.
Yes,
and then Rosie's your guitar player.
And then Rosie brought in both bass and rhythm guitar.
Got it.
Yep.
So what year did we have our first gig?
2009? Something.
Around there.
Yes.
Okay. And
it
something
was
local-ish.
Okay.
Tell me about the first gig.
Oh, my God. It was a private party.
Okay.
So I hopped on this site called Gig Masters. So any other bands that are listening, that's how I started, because the bass player that she brought to the band helped me. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. How do I book us gigs? I didn't know anything. And she said, well,
You got some balls, girl. So you don't play a musical instrument, and you don't know how to book gigs. So naturally you went, I'm going to start a band.
Guys.
I can't imagine a more natural thing
Guys,
to want to go
anything is
towards.
possible.
I'm deathly afraid of water.
here
I'm
to
going to be a
tell you.
scuba instructor.
Hey, face your fears, Roger. Face your fears.
Love it. And the thing is now that you're all starting to check out Pulp Vixen online, they're gigging a lot. So she clearly knows what she's doing. Trial by fire. She learned it for sure. You learned it.
Well,
you
I'm
learned
a
what to do.
business major.
So you came at this from kind of a business mindset.
Standpoint, not a musician standpoint. And guess what else I do? 2 things. First, I treat this like a business. Okay?
That is a huge number one lesson
Yes,
for everybody
anyone,
out there.
anyone.
Even if you are good at it, that's the part you always got to get better
It doesn't matter how good you are. You will not get booked by being good.
Just
it
by being
doesn't
a
matter.
good band.
And guess how many much better talented drummers there are on the planet? Basically 99% of the drummers out there are better than me. But guess what? I don't care because I don't have to be the best because you know what I do? I find people that are way more talented than I am, way smarter than I am, and I surround myself with quality. And that's where I get my strength. It's in the collaboration. It's in the group. That's where the strength comes from, not from me. All I do, I have vision. I will say that. I can see something that no one else can see, you know?
Right.
And
You kind of had a concept in your head.
Absolutely.
You had a direction, you had a goal, you had
Yes.
an end game.
That's right.
And you said, now I need to find the parts to put in that.
It's just
and make
about
it happen.
project managing to the goal. It's where's my timeline? What do I have to do? What do I have to make happen?
There you go.
And I'm not scared to ask questions. I'm not scared to admit that I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't matter to me.
I wonder if
you
the
think
fact
I'm,
that you kind
know.
of got into it later in life, where you really had a life, you had a family, you had a business, a career, you kind of saw that side of things, and so you naturally thought, well, that's how I would approach this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll approach it from a professional view.
Right.
Not just let's rock, and get drunk and we all make $75 and, all that kind of stuff.
You know what? In the beginning, I didn't.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I didn't give a
but-
rat's if I made any money.
Right.
To be honest with you,
But there
because
was an end game.
my
in mind.
joy is literally sharing the stage with these women. To this day, you know how many times we played "Sweet Child of Mine," and it doesn't matter. And I hear musicians complain about wah wah wah. They want us to play this. It's so easy, or I can't stand complainers as a rule, especially musicians that complain about not making enough money, not getting to play the music they play, being better than everyone else. Like, I have a short fuse. I don't deal with that well because I think everyone should be humble and grateful for the situation that they're in. And you know how many times I've played Sweet Child? And I love it every time because I'm doing exactly what I want to do with the people that I want to share time and space with. And what you're missing with this story is my dad died right before I started this band.
Oh, wow. Goodness.
And like, I'm a daddy's girl. He was everything to me.
Right before you started it, so he never saw any of this.
He saw me piddling around in the garage, but he never saw what has been created. Of course, he's looking up from on high, smoking a Lucky Strike and saying, "Go get him, girl." He was the first encouraging, loving man that I've ever had in my life. And I expect that encouragement from all people, which I don't get all the time.
It's a big expectation.
But I feel like that expectation gives me the ability to go adventure and not shoot myself or stop myself, which fear typically stops people. Oh, I could never do that. No way. So I'm not even going to try. Well, I'm not going to stop myself because I think I can. And if I can't, at least I tried my hardest. And if I don't, that's fine.
Chrissy Marquez's book will be coming out in the next 6 months. You Can Do It, I think is the name of it. No Fear.
Yes.
Well, wait, I think No Fear is trademarked. I don't know if you can do that. Fear Not, maybe? I don't know. Get Over Yourself, maybe?
Get over yourself. I like that one.
You know what?
I want to line people up and smack them.
That is such a refreshing, great thing to hear, especially from kind of this industry, bands in general, about, man, I hate that I got to play this song over and over. I played it 1,000 times, played it 1,000 times. I'm like, well, first of all, well, then stop being in that kind of a band.
Yep.
But the thing is a lot of times what you're doing isn't so that you can personally get some fulfillment out of that specific song.
Bingo.
It's because you're on stage playing for people. I always use this. The people out in that audience got up that day knowing they were going to go see a show that night. Or maybe they didn't. They didn't know what they were going to do. They made a decision at some point to go out. They got up, they got dressed, they got ready, they got their makeup on, they fixed their hair, they put on a decent outfit, and they took a drive somewhere knowing they're going to drop a little bit of money, go see a band, and want to be entertained.
Yes.
And when I'm on stage, I want to leave that stage knowing I made that person happy.
Absolutely.
The people on stage I want to make happy as well, but the thing is we're all there to work together to pull in the direction that gets everybody out there going, I had a great time. I'm really glad I went out tonight.
I mean, the most valuable thing someone could give you is their time.
Yeah.
And when they choose to spend their evening with us instead of the hundreds of amazing bands, like, that's something.
That's another element. They chose you to go see
That's
too.
right.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Like, you're right. It's not about me all the time. Our life, everyone, your life is supposed to be a life of service to other people. I feel like everyone.
Now we're going to get deep.
No, I'm just saying, in general,
Yeah.
all of us should be living a life of service.
If everybody kind of works that way, then everybody's helping each other.
You better believe it. And all of a sudden, everyone elevates.
Yeah.
Okay?
Nice.
So,
That's chapter 2.
but listen, so we are in service to the people that we are playing for. But you know what? I get something out of it that is huge. There is a payoff for me. And when you live a life of service, there is a payoff for you. It's not the people that you're helping. You're actually elevating yourself way more. So the fact that I get to share the stage with Megan and have her look at me funny whenever I miss a fill, or Roseanne when I go to the wrong part and they roll their eyes at me, I don't give a crap, because I am literally living my best life. A mistake doesn't matter. It's so meaningless.
It happens.
So
But,
it's just.
So give me the lineup right now. Give me your.
So
break it down. Who's playing what?
this wonderful thing occurred a couple years ago. I decided to rebrand my band.
So the original name was.
The original name was Cougars Rock, and that was
Came from what?
For me, I thought it was catchy, and I thought it was something that
It's brandable. It's marketable for sure.
marketable. But there's a caveat. So there's something that I didn't realize, because, again, remember, I didn't know anything. I didn't realize how much I was limiting what we could actually, my business, by naming it that. And I'll give you an example of how I was limited. As we got better and improved, I wanted to hit up the summer concert series marketplace. Okay, that is an all ages, family friendly market. And here I come saying, well, the Cougars would be awesome. Well, it doesn't matter what we're serving. It doesn't matter how quality our product is. That branding has removed me from that market. Now, we still got some summer concert series.
Did you get that feedback in any direct
I
way,
did.
or did you just
I
realize
sure
I'm not
did.
booking and maybe there's a problem?
I had bookers tell me, I am dying to hire you girls, but I just can't. They just won't let me. They won't consider
The
it.
name itself kind of limited
You
that.
better believe
Okay.
it. And one of our last concert series that we did as the Cougars, and it was so well received. Everyone loved it, because really what we're about is empowering ourselves as women and empowering the people that we're sharing space and time with. So we want everyone to feel amazing about us and about themselves, and us spending that time together. And even though that last concert that we did as the Cougars was so well received, we had comments saying, grow up. What is with your name? What are you thinking? Like, the negativity. And remember, because we're females as well, we are held to a completely different standard than a typical either all-male band or a mix of female and men. We are judged by how much we weigh, what we look like. Our chops are definitely looked at under a microscope. all those things,
Yeah.
which is fine. I'm not scared of that either. That's just a reality.
It's fine. I think the problem with that double standard is it actually, hopefully you agree with me on this, and maybe you don't. But being that you came at this from a more professional, pragmatic, and market-driven point of view, I think the men should also be held to that standard. They should also be held to a standard of.
But they're not.
I know they're not. But no, I know they're not. And I'm more probably in tune with that because I have to impersonate a specific person, which means I can't let myself get too. I'm already too heavy, especially after COVID, to look fully like Huey Lewis like I normally do. So I have to maintain a certain visual,
because you're impersonating.
physical look. So I think, but even a typical band, a typical bar band on the weekend, maybe I'm a snob, but I can't stand when I see dudes up there with big Dickies jean shorts on, and I'm like, dude, you just
so
look like you
sloppy.
came from mowing your lawn.
Absolutely.
And now you're on stage
right.
getting paid. That's
and guess
not
what?
cool to me.
If these girls,
Because no girl would allow themselves to get on stage looking like that, even if they're making $50.
Let me tell you something. If these girls are wearing a neckline that's too low, a neckline that's too high, jeans that are too tight, jeans that are too loose, like it doesn't matter. Like it is what it is. Yeah. And it's just kind of a microcosm of, I think, our culture. You just have to expect it. You don't have to accept it, and you can do what you can to try to educate people or make them aware. Or really just focus them in a different direction. Like, it's not about how old we are. That's a big one. Ageism. You're too old. You're too young. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're too blonde.
You're too tall. You're too short.
That's right.
You're too whatever.
So I feel like people in general, and not men, mostly women, men also. Boy, the comments that I could share, that's a whole like cocktail table book in itself. All the comments we'll get, right?
That's definitely a misogynistic world, and especially if you're
I'll
if you're
take
gigging,
any one of you.
If you're gigging when, I'm sure,
I'll do any one of you. I'm like, really?
And it's kind of like, well, do I get a say? Because you're a no, you're a hard pass.
It's just interesting, isn't it? So, but that's,
and I've seen every iteration of your band, and there was never anything about your band other than the name, which had kind of a sexy little thing with it. There was nothing about your band that was about being sexual.
That's right.
You were all good-looking girls on stage, and yes, you tried to look your best on stage, and you look stylish, which again, I think more guys need to worry about how they look on stage.
Yes.
But there was, other than the name, which you felt, okay, it seems like that might be kind of holding us back.
So I did it to myself. That was a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
But that's what happened.
But you saw it as, okay, that might be a hurdle we need to.
That's limiting my business potential, and I don't want to do that. So 2 years ago, I rebranded the band to the Pulp Vixen Band, and we added 2 people as our 2 lead singers. They're actually auntie and niece. The Tahari girls are fronting our band now, and that was really the only lineup change, but it made a huge difference in terms of the product we were selling. And that's with the cover band. But what I have done with this entertainment company is I use the same players for our cover band that I do for our tribute shows, which is what we're here to talk about tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our tribute shows. The same lineup, the same people, because the way I approach this band, it's like a family. I don't hire people for gigs and switch them out if I don't have to. Getting a sub for my band is a big deal. 1, because it's hard to find great female musicians, and 2, because there's a chemistry. When we hit the stage, it is magical, and I can't explain it any other way except for the chemistry that bounces between the group.
Yeah.
And so that's extremely important. And that's the way I have run this band. Instead of getting 6 people for the cover band and 5 people for the Go-Gos and 4 people for the tribute, it's all the same players. And it's really a marketing play. You put a package of what you can offer to your buyers, and you say, this is what we do. Halen, here's the marketing package. It doesn't matter to them that we happen to have another tribute and a cover band.
Right.
They're like, it's all about marketing. Literally, that marketing tool is everything.
Did you go in to Pulp Vixen, what became Pulp Vixen, knowing you were going to at some point get into kind of tributes, or did you just kind of start seeing a market that you went, we should probably think about creating some subgroups out of this?
That is exactly what happened. As we were going along our way, the tribute scene was exploding, and I'm like, what can we do?
Right.
What bands are uniquely suited to our skill set? And so we had a short list. The Go-Gos were obvious.
Seems like a natural, obviously.
And no one was, there was one band that was doing the Go-Gos, and then they stopped.
Okay.
So that was kind of in the past. And then there's like a group of guys that were doing the gays or something, you know, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but that's not a direct competition, really. So just from a business standpoint, the Go-Gos made all the sense. Okay, so that's the first tribute band that we started, and it was very well received. And it's interesting because even though it's a part of the 80s, it's a very small, specialized niche of people, fans for Belinda and Jane and Kathy Valentine. Not a lot of people know much about them besides their 2 or 3 big hits.
Right.
But they were they literally changed the industry. They were the first band that wrote their own all-female. Not the Runaways did not write, right? The Go-Gos wrote their own music. But guess where I really connect with the Go-Gos? Like, these girls weren't, like, a lot of them weren't even musicians.
Right.
Like, they learned their instruments.
Right.
Hello, does that, like, ring a bell?
Pretty parallel in that way. Yeah.
Now, Gina was not. Gina came in and she actually added some
Gina
authentic.
was the musician.
That's
right.
right.
But Jane Weedland learned guitar for the band.
Belinda
and,
was
Gina
terrible.
Shack learned drums for the band. Belinda was pitchy and all over the place as a singer.
But guess what? They were dope.
They were a garage punky pop girl band.
That's right.
That was at the exact right place at the exact right time. They hit
timing.
super hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that MTV was needing more content, and you had 5 cute girls, you know, that did fun, summery, punky pop stuff.
They got spit on and booed off stages. They opened, like, whoever.
Well, like you said, it's that extra layer that women have to, that hurdle.
Right. They didn't know how to pair them as an opening act. And guess what? We're still talking about them, and they are about to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. We're hoping, you know, they're part of the top 5.
Yeah.
So, like,
they're very pioneer. They were very groundbreaking.
You know what
they really
mean?
were.
And they were just kids. And
now, from a show standpoint, now I kind of want to get into just the technical aspects of a show. Doing a tribute to, like, the Go-Gos. And like you said, you know, people know 2 big songs. We got the beat, Our Lips Are Sealed. I mean, I know Head Over Heels, Vacation.
And right there is where it stops. Because then you start
and all
going
those are
on to
about
the
2.5 minutes long. And I'm going, man, that's a lot. You got to add a lot of content to get 35, 40, 45 minutes on that.
We do an hour-and-a-half show. But this is what's cool about the Go-Gos.
And I know there's a bunch of more songs, so Go-Go fans.
There's a lot
I know,
of, like,
I forgot about
surf rock feel in a lot of what they do.
Cool Jerk, I love that one.
Yes, and that was a cover.
Yeah.
You know, and they do several actually covers, but a lot of their music, like you said, pop punk, surf rock. So there's this whole other feel that we do to our show. It's so fun because we have beach balls going. We have a little bikini clad
Didn't you do
go-go
a thing like
dancer.
with the actual towels, like the cover of the album?
You better believe it.
Yeah. See, you knew you needed to put more than just music into that show.
Absolutely.
And you were able to take that show into an hour or 90. Did you say 90 minutes?
Hey, when people hire tribute bands, they want a 90-minute show.
Right. That's impressive.
It's stretching it, my friend. But we did
it.
We kind of they're laughing right now because it's not
because you can't
easy.
do a lot of extended solos because then it kind of doesn't feel like the Go-Go's.
No,
all the songs are, you know, I like it's always said if you're at a Beatles tribute, you got to know 82-minute songs because they're all like 2-minute songs.
Literally, isn't that interesting how short those songs are? You're right.
Thank goodness for Belinda.
Thank God.
Yeah, then you go. So you did the Belinda stuff.
You better believe it.
Okay,
we
gotcha.
added her solo career into
that makes
it.
sense. Absolutely, yeah.
So we have curated a fun, family-friendly, upbeat show for the masses. It's great for 80s venues. We had contracts with there's these 80s bars. There's like 5 or 6 of them in the Southern California area.
Danny Sanchez.
Danny Sanchez.
This is our second shout out to Danny Sanchez.
Yes, Danny owns them all.
Yeah.
And we literally worked all of them. We just did a circuit. And when we work at Danny's place, it's only an hour show.
Right.
So it was even easier.
And we were talking about this before we started recording, that for some reason 80s bands, 80s tributes,
it's just big. It won't go away.
kind of just hit hard. There's a lot of great 90s, there's a lot of great 70s, and every decade. But
it's like herpes. It'll never go away, ever. Ever.
It's like herpes.
But better.
But I think that's how we're going to market our band from now on.
You might want to cut that from the interview.
But it was just a very colorful, and I was kind of mentioning, I think it's because it's a decade that's just super tied with visual because of MTV.
That was when you said that, it just clicked.
It was a
brain.
bright, colorful decade.
Yes.
There was a lot of variety of bands. It's just super fun.
Everyone leaves. They have T-shirts in their hands. There's beach balls all over the place. They're just like this is what we do as a band, not just the Go-Gos, but every product that we sell. We are giving people permission to just be themselves, have fun, don't worry about whatever. Don't worry about looking stupid. Don't worry about being silly. Like literally just live in the moment. Like that is really what I'm selling. You know, like I said, I'm a Disney girl. I learned a lot from working there. We're selling an experience. We're not just 5 girls in, push-up bras on stage, playing music like robots. Like what was that? Who was that? Robert. Who had the girls in the slick back hair, the 80s
Robert
guy?
Palmer.
Robert Palmer. It's not that.
Right. You are the show.
That's right.
You are the show.
We are literally, you're seeing, hearing, you're part of the show.
And with that Disney background, you know that you're always kind of on.
You better
so from
believe
the time
it.
you hit the stage to the time you leave the stage, it's a show.
From the time we walk on the premises of that venue, I'm telling the girls, you're on. And that's exactly how it is when I worked at Disneyland. You are on stage or you're backstage,
Nice.
And that's just the way it is if you're in this band. So we're just serving up an experience. We want people to feel good. It's not about, oh, they're so great. How did you feel when you left our show? And I feel like if more bands took their business a little more seriously, they would understand that, again, they're providing a product or a service to others. It's not about what I want to play. I'm sick of playing Mustang Sally. Let's do something else. Well, guess what? If they shove something in that tip jar and they want you to play it, you're going to play it graciously. That's what you signed up for.
Right.
Like, let's just get that straight.
I used to use the distinction when we were in our other band prior to this one, which was just a cover band, an overall cover band, corporate, dance, casinos, festivals, things like that. We had to keep that big, huge variety set list. And guys would kind of complain about certain songs. And, yeah, I've sang Brick House 1,000 times and play that funky music, White Boy and Mustang Sally. Yeah, we've done it 1,000 times.
Yes.
But I always tell them, I go, this is not your jam band. This is not your originals band. This is your money band. This is the band that makes you money.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to be original and you want to be creative and you want to have an outlet, that's great. That's not going to make you as much money generally unless you take off.
Well, right.
But if your job is to gig and make money right now, because there's a point where I think reality sets in for a lot of folks, and you're not in your 20s anymore, and you're not in your 30s anymore, and you're not in your 40s anymore, maybe for a lot of us. And you kind of go, I don't think I'm going to make it doing my own stuff. I think the ship has sailed. And then they feel like they kind of settle. And maybe that's where a lot of that resistance
I see where you're coming at.
Kind of negativity towards playing certain
that makes
songs.
Sense. And that might make sense why it's so different for me.
You embraced it from the get-go.
Yeah.
You went into it
and it was
doing
way
it that
later
way.
when I started this.
Yeah. You didn't have visions of I'm
going
to sell out
That's
Wembley
right.
and Madison Square
That's
Garden
right.
playing
That's
my
right.
music.
That's right.
And so I kind of came back from, I have a performer background. I grew up in LA and I was an actor and a singer and did theater and stage and knew a lot of people at Disneyland. I never worked there, but
Jeez,
by osmosis,
everyone.
I got the whole experience.
I feel
got
like
it.
if you grew up in Orange County, you worked
kind
there,
of,
even if it was
permeated.
for a day.
It just kind of was like like herpes.
Like herpes.
So
Never goes away.
it just, it circles back. But I did kind of come at it from also just the performance and the show aspect of it. So you do have to struggle sometimes to find personnel that kind of get on board with that.
That is key.
Yeah, and see it for what it is. And I always tell our guys, I go, we're not a band. In our particular case, this may be a little different for you, but I go, we're not a band. We're a show. We're a show about a band, like a musical is. Like if we did a musical about the Beatles, we're a show about the Beatles. We take people on a journey where we want them to feel like they saw a Huey Lewis and the News live concert.
Got it. Yeah.
So we are them as much as we possibly can be, and we want everybody to feel that and go along with that. We play the song most of the time pretty much the same way every night because the show is timed. Most of these venues, they need you to start at a certain time and be done at a certain time.
That's right.
So there's a structure to it.
It's a production show.
It's a production.
Not a bar gig.
And you get that from the whole Disney side of things.
Yes.
You get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Go-Gos thing seems like a natural, obvious first venture into tributes. So what made you decide, other than the fact that you have a phenomenally shredding guitar player, and
I had a
you
lot
went,
to do with
we have to get her more front and center, maybe? Or did you all just kind of go, we love Van Halen? Or what kind of made you pick Van Halen?
So, as you could imagine, the Go-Gos is probably a little boring for poor Rosebud.
Didn't quite get the juices flowing? The creative outlet?
Nope. So we were looking for something edgier.
So let's go to Eddie Van Halen.
And we literally had and I'm going to tell you.
So did you have kind of a list? Did you bat it around?
That's what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you, no one knows this. There were 3 bands that we were going to do. And the list was Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, and Queen. And we were so close to doing any of the above. At that moment, when I was researching, there was an all-female band that had tried Van Halen years before. Because remember, the tribute scene has been around since, late 90s? Is that shortening
I kind of
early
actually
2000s?
I go way back. I kind of technically will say Elvis impersonators.
So impersonators, but those are like individuals, right?
Absolutely.
That's been forever.
But there were also, around that time, there was the whole Beatlemania.
Okay, that kind of
So I
started
kind
it
of went,
off,
that's
right?
kind of the founding father in a way of tribute, is
yeah.
people impersonating
But it
full
was
shows.
blowing
Absolutely.
up. Blowing up in the early
And it hasn't
2000s.
peaked yet. I mean, it's still on an upscale.
You will have some agencies say the market has softened a bit. One of them, but this is all pre-pandemic, of course. One of them is just because there's more bands, so there's more competition, right? But they do say it's softened a bit. I don't know that I believe that. I don't believe that to be true. But my opinion is, what people say about opinions. So that's just my opinion.
Right.
But anyways, at the time that I was researching that all-female tribute to Van Halen was no more. They sucked. The lead singer was super hot.
Man, I hope she's watching right now.
Listen.
I hope one of them is watching.
Honestly.
Comment below.
Honestly, they were bad. They were so bad, but the lead singer was hot as hell. And that's all they had going for them. And that's so anti what I'm all about. I feel like that even made me want to do it more. Like, I'm going to give you quality. I'm going to actually give you what you're coming to see if you want to see a Van Halen tribute, but from the perspective of a female, which for Van Halen is so fun because talk about misogyny at its best. So what we've done is we've flipped it completely. So when we do Somebody Get Me a Doctor and Becky asks for someone to come get her a drink, guess what it is? Her husband in a nurse's outfit coming and bringing her a bottle of Jack Daniels, right? Like, it's just funny and fun. We can't be a look-alike, sound-alike like we can for the Go-Gos. We understand that. It's a different product. And the people that hire us understand that as well, that we will never be a look-alike, sound-alike. But if you want to hire an all-female version of this band, you're going to get an earful and an eyeful.
Right.
And it's an interesting, fun show. And we were finally.
So how did it narrow down to Van Halen? I mean, where did the decision finally? Did you have a big debate? Did you have a discussion?
No,
or did you just
we were
make
ready
the call?
to pull the trigger on all of them because we have Susie on keys. So we knew we could kill it there. But, Freddie Mercury plays the keys. Technically, he's the keyboard player. If we were to do Queen, we would have our keyboard player separate from our vocalist.
Right.
So there's something that's totally different. And then when we were thinking of
So you could match this up a little more personnel-wise to the real Van Halen.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And it's not exact.
No, I got you.
But, we literally, she looks and sounds like Eddie Van Halen. She looks and sounds like
Michael Anthony.
Like Michael Anthony. I have dark hair like Alex. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it actually was a bit of a good match. Now with Queen, there happened to be a brand new tribute that just started. What's the name of that all-female trib? The Queen one.
Queen one?
Killer Queens. Now they're in the Bay Area, and they're the only one we could find. But that was a situation with Queen, and then we had that and the fact that Freddie Mercury didn't quite match. And then the Guns N' Roses, because that was number one. We were about to go because we play so many Guns N' Roses songs already.
Okay, right, sure.
But literally, when we named ourselves and everything, and at that moment, another all-female Guns N' Roses tribute. Literally, it's like they were reading our minds. Hit the scene, and they were from L.A. and they took off like lightning. And so my business side said, well, of course we can do it, but do we want to make our lives harder?
Right.
So
the business side, the pragmatic side, the marketing side, all kind of made the deciding factor.
Femme Halen, let's do it.
Right.
So now we're hoping things are changing once again, and we just booked our very first 2 shows. May we'll be working for the city of Yucaipa with our Femme Halen show. And in July, we'll be working for San Manuel Casino at Rock and Brews with our Totally Go-Go show.
Nice. And
we're hoping that, it's more is to come, but it's been a hell of a year.
For sure. I mean, when we started this podcast, I obviously, knowing that the times were what they were, I definitely wanted to acknowledge that we were in a situation where it was a lot of downtime, but I kind of wanted to make sure we're talking in a going forward kind of direction,
Yes.
especially now that we're kind of on the backside of a lot of this. And, we had a gig a couple months ago at Pala Casino. Thank you.
Wonderful. Paula,
And,
love you.
yeah, so we really appreciate those that have kind of, well, it's a casino. I'll say roll the dice and gave some people some opportunities.
Play it safe.
Yeah. And they, you know what though, but they did actually do all that. They really did play it safe in the way they did it. And it was a great
Amazing.
experience and people had a wonderful time. So you mentioned you're getting a chance to get this new lineup up and running. So I want to talk about that. And I think that is a great thing that other band leaders like to hear other band leaders talk about is how you lead your band when you're not on stage and the business of the band. And you are clearly a great resource for talking about running a band like a business. So we heard about how you kind of put all the original together while you're still learning, and putting it all up and running. Once it's an up and running thing and a successful band, Pulp Vixen, the Go-Gos tribute, Halen, all that stuff, and it's time to start making changes. How do you find folks, or what did you find was a worthwhile way to find players, or did they find you, whatever the case may be, and feel free to go as far as you want or not if you're not comfortable, but how do you let band members know it's time to make a change?
Now
we're going to get serious.
I'll answer your first question, which is how do I find new band members? And for me, connecting to other musicians has been the most important thing for me to do since I started. And that was because I had no history working in a band. I had no idea how to do it. I didn't know any other musicians. And so for me, it was very important to create a network. I'm a networking type of individual. I'm a social individual. And I know that my next gig may very well come from another musician, not a venue. So I think it's more important for us as musicians to stick together and connect with each other and raise each other up than it is, to kind of isolate yourself.
Sure.
That's just my mindset in general. And so I'm big on social network. Most of the time I spend is not rehearsing new songs. It's marketing for my band. And I'm, we were lucky, Facebook and all those social media sites kind of started right when I started this band. So I've had free marketing. I know everyone complains about social media, but, it is free. And so I've used that a lot. And there are groups and organizations and just so much, so many resources. And I use them. If there's a group, a singers group, I'll say I'm auditioning for lead singers.
So finding people, and now you are benefiting from the fact that it's kind of a social media world. You've networked, you've maximized that skill that you have in finding players. So you've found players, which means it's time to maybe make a change in the lineup in some way, shape, or form. Either minimally with one person or maybe make a larger change and you go in a whole new direction. So how does that happen? Are you fortunate and it happened, well, we all agreed to part ways, or it was very easy to do, it wasn't painful? Did you have any situations where it was a challenge?
For all the musicians that have left the band, I have given them the opportunity to make the move instead of forcing them out. Because I want them to feel good. I don't want anyone to feel embarrassed, ashamed. I would not suggest it to others because I don't think I'm doing anyone any favors by hanging on to musicians past their expiration date, if you get my drift. And it's not even their expiration date because everything's a relationship, right? It's just them with us. So the expiration date with this band.
Right.
So literally everyone in this band has left instead of me firing them, but they were all mutual, it was time for them to go. I allowed them to make the call.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
in all of the cases, maybe except for maybe one, it was a little too long, and I should have made that decision prior to it happening. But whether it's my fear, or my whatever it is, in me that stops me from dumping people when they should be dumped for this project,
right?
It takes me longer than it should.
So, I think it's a hard thing because a band it's a dynamic that's very personal. It's creatives coming together.
Yes.
So there's a lot of creatives kind of hold their emotions out on their sleeve, and
you better believe
you kind of live raw a little bit. And so when it's time to make a change, even if it's kind of mutually agreed upon, it can be a challenge. Or you hold on to somebody longer than you should
and it's not doing anyone
I care
any
for the
favors.
person. It's really
That's
nice.
Right.
And there's a point where you have to look at it. You have to step out of it, look at it, and go. But as a band dynamic, it's not working.
It's not right. And that's one of my shortcomings is not making those calls quicker. Because it doesn't do anyone any favors. The person that I'm allowing to languish is not happy, or else they would be doing better.
Right.
So they're not happy, for any number of reasons. We're not happy, but I just let it go.
Any of the changes happen as an occurrence of they didn't care for the direction you wanted to go?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I have very high expectations. I am not the easiest to deal with because, if I'm going to have a quality product and service, I need my players to be on their A game. If they don't want to learn lyrics, or they want to continue to use an iPad, or they want to look slovenly when they hit the stage, or they don't want to, rehearse with us, or they flake out, there's a plethora of reasons why you need to make a change. Those are just some of them. Those are all signs that they need to move on for themselves. That's what I think. And instead of trying really hard to make it work, what can I do to make you happier? I should listen to my intuition and say, it's just time to part ways. And I thank you for being a part of this band for so long, and you've done so much to help us, and I really cherish everything you've done. Now it's time to move forward. That's a hard conversation.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for me.
Yeah.
And and that's why it's rolled the way it has. But I will say, when I want something done, I will, I'll make it very clear. This is one of those situations where Roseanne and Megan would be good to have to come in, because they're on the receiving end of the way that I manage and the way that I am.
I think you are a wealth of information. So I think we're probably going to have a part 2 at some point. So we'll get the girls in the band in the podcast.
Like I said, I know I'm not easy to deal with. I know I have high expectations. And I also, like you said earlier, and I wanted to hit on this, you said it's difficult with creatives because they wear their emotions on their sleeve, their heart on their sleeve. And that's true. Creatives are sensitive. Would you agree with this, Megan? Super sensitive.
Megan right now is going, what do you mean by that?
No, we have this
I'm not.
discussion.
Why would you say that about me?
No. Her and Roseanne are the most sensitive. Wouldn't you say? I have these beautifully creative individuals, right? And they are super sensitive. And I'm missing that chip because I am a daughter of an engineer. I'm like a mathematician.
Problem, solve it.
That's that. And
I don't have time to get worried about it. I just got to fix it.
See, I'm genuinely concerned with how do I fix this problem? How do I solve this issue? When people literally just want to feel loved or appreciated. And I'm like, why aren't you on time? Or I'm going to get fired from this is our number one customer. You must be on time. That's how I miss.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. So all you potential Pulp Vixen players, if you're ever getting just know what you're up against there.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm honest. I pay my people.
You know where you stand with somebody like that.
That's right.
But I'm probably
right.
more along those lines than the
Yes.
sensitive type. I'm to a fault forgetting that I should be a little more sensitive.
Yes.
And but you have that around you. So there's a bit of a buffer that way where maybe one of them kind of goes, all right, take it.
Well, they teach me things all the time.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
as long as we're all kind of trying to learn that
all the
too,
time.
yeah.
And we'll fight. And that's the thing also. There's some safety net in the fact that we are a bit of a family. Megan is my best friend. Roseanne is my like literally these two people are my best friends in the world. If something is wrong, those are the people I go to. Like my business and my family, I don't know if it's my Italian in me, but it's like it's one and the same. And so we do fight and they get mad at me. The shit that I say, the stuff that I say, sorry about that. Or, you know, like...
Oh, this isn't on Disney Channel.
I know. You know, like they get very upset with me. And many of the people that are no longer in our band because, you know, I approach this as a business and I have high expectations. And if they don't want to work, this is not the place for them.
Right.
We're hardworking.
I think that's,
you know?
and that's a unique thing in a band world, musician world. Mm-hmm. You know, guys get up at 11 o'clock in the morning and they're not really about grinding and they get to rehearsal and they're like, mm-hmm. wait, play the song again? How does it go? And you're like, no. No, that's what you were supposed to be doing before rehearsal.
You bet.
Which is everybody says it's a pet peeve in their band that people don't learn the song before rehearsal, mm-hmm. but nobody holds people to that. You got to kind of hold them to it. You got to learn the song before you show up at rehearsal. Rehearsal is where you learn the start, stop, and who's soloing. So
new people that come into our band, it is a bit of a reckoning. It's eye-opening for them.
They see it as, oh, you guys are like serious.
Well, you know, this is a thing.
It's not as easy as other bands I've been in.
I feel like it's a means to an end. Yes, there's high expectations. Yes, you know, you're going to be held to a higher, level. However, the payoff for that for all of us is amazing and incredible. You get to feel accomplished and you're going to be paid well and you're part of something that you can be proud of. Like, you know, it's not for sissies. It's not a jam band and it's not a garage band, although that's how we started. And I have mad respect for anyone who will get their butts in their garage and put something together because I know what it takes to do that. But the level that I am at and the expectation I have for myself and our future as a band, we just need more than that. So I have to make some tough decisions and I have to let some people go. And it hasn't been all nice. I will say that. And there is band drama and there's people that are, you know, talking smack and talking crap. Instead of moving on and just being happy in what your next step is, they have to stay looking backwards and downplaying and justifying why they're no longer a part of this amazing project. And I think that's sad. Because I think all of us should be moving ahead and looking at the positive, both of what we learned, whether it was bad or good experiences, what we learned from what we did, and we could take that with us into our next step. That's how we should be moving forward, I feel. It doesn't always happen like that. And there's a lot of people that are super mad at me, but hey, I can't please everyone.
You can't. You can't go through this life and go if you haven't pissed off somebody. So are there any bands that you know, now that you're kind of in that little bit tribute world and stuff, are there any bands you've kind of like, man, these guys are good. These guys kind of nail it. These guys.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
No duh.
No duh.
Hey.
That's one of the first tributes I got to know.
Give it up to my girl Andrea.
Yeah.
Who is fronting that band. But no disrespect to the gal that fronted the band for the first 20 years. She was so incredible. They were literally the first tribute band I ever saw. And they were it's so incredible. And I saw them at the Voodoo Lounge in Riverside. It's this private social club in Riverside. And I was blown away. And it was like right on the cusp when I was considering and starting. and they just had so that must be why they impacted me so much. But my
shout out to No Dot. That was one of the first I ever saw as well.
They are quality. And
Gwen Stefani loves them too.
Yes, she does. And what's not to love? They're incredible.
Yeah,
all of them are. Yep. And who else was a great inspiration to me were, of course, obviously the Iron Maidens, right?
Yeah.
They're one of they may be the most successful.
Kind of a Mount Rushmore.
Tribute.
They're kind of the founding fathers of that tribute world.
And talk about like a unicorn. It's not guys doing Iron Maiden.
Right.
So right out of the gate, that's something that's so different. But these are women that are like years and years and years of experience in original bands and cover bands.
Absolutely.
Like it's not, I can go into talking about them all day, but I'm just leave it at the fact that they are a great inspiration to me. And the fact that you can have success even if you're all female. Like, I don't buy into you can't because of this or you can't because of that. I cannot waste my energy on that. I have to focus on the yeses and the possibilities.
I love the positivity vibe. Seriously, I love the positivity vibe. I love the build each other up vibe.
You bet.
Everybody rowing in the same direction, everybody pulling on the rope in the same direction. Yes. And you know what? We all ultimately benefit.
Yes.
If everybody keeps building each other up, it helps the industry be more respected. Yes. It helps bands get better gigs, quality gigs, money gigs, whatever you want to call it.
You better believe it.
If everybody saw it as if we all elevate and elevate each other, then everybody does better. Yes. And I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing more of Chrissy Marquez on the Ultimate Tribute Band podcast.
That's right.
So
let's just work it out, guys. Let's
because we're going to need some positive vibes pretty soon. Because once we're all back to work, it goes back to being cutthroat. You know what? I didn't get that gig. No, I was just kidding. We're going to keep it positive. So Chrissy Marquez.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
How fun. I love to talk. I'm such a big mouth.
Well, and we give you enough wine.
And
we're
he
gonna
did
make sure it's a good
give
show.
me wine. Actually, you didn't. Your wife did.
My wife did.
Yes.
She's our not our barista. What's the
what is it?
Sommelier. Sommelier.
Ooh.
I probably got it wrong. I butchered it, I'm sure. But she's our wino.
It was wonderful to be here tonight, and thank you for letting me talk and share. And I hope it helps someone build their business. And
give me the band names again one more time.
So we have the Totally Go-Gos. It's a tribute to the decadence of the 80s and the first successful all-female band that wrote their own music. We are also Femme Halen, our all-female tribute to the genius of Van Halen. And, of course, we have our cover band, our bread and butter, Pulp Vixen Band. You can catch all of us at pulpvixenband.com. Of course, we have all of our social media as well. You can find Femme Halen, Totally Go-Gos, Pulp Vixen Band, anywhere. There's way more information that you could ever want on all social media outlets. So check us out.
And merch. They have a calendar, everybody. Yes! They put a calendar out every year. I mean, come on. These guys are all about marketing themselves, taking it to a level that a lot of bands just don't seem to do. So use it as a blueprint. Check them out. PulpVixenBand.com is where you're going to find everything. Totally Go-Go's, Femme Halen, Chrissy Marquez. Thank you so much. Ooh, ooh. We will be talking again.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for checking out the Ultimate Tribute Band podcast. We'll be back again next week with some amazing artists. Check us out everywhere online, Tribute Band Podcast. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, tell your enemies. If you hate the show, tell your enemies. If you love the show, tell your friends. You'll find us everywhere. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Everybody have a great week. Remember, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yes.
All the world's a stage. And so we imitate people on stage. I'm working on it.
Let's work that out.
We'll see you soon.